You're listening to Rod and Style Radio, the latest podcast brought to you by rodandstyle.com, which is where you can find links for merch, videos from our YouTube channel, along with stories and tech talk from some of the greatest folks in the culture. So grab the wheel, it's about to get wild. You've tuned in to Rod and Style. Ian, I'm so glad to have you on here, bud. This is a really great experience for us, especially since we just had Jeremy Jones on the show just a couple weeks ago. So, like, I'm really stoked to get your perspectives on a few things, actually.
Cool. Yeah, whatever you want to talk about, I'm down for it.
All right. So the first thing we're going to get into is politics. No, we will not do that.
Bye.
Half hour, and then we can really talk.
But no. Man, there's just so much, that we can start off with. For one, the car that you're sitting in front of, I've been watching for like this whole week. As you've posted about it, and like that thing is amazing. So let's start with that real quick, and then we'll roll into the rest of it.
Well, it's going to be an episode of the next season of Full Custom Garage. So this is actually episode 2. We're filming now, and if you know the show, you know Victor, and that's enough said, right? Got an idea again.
So what is it? What did it start off life as?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you guys would know better. There's no paperwork. Maybe a 58, 59 DeSoto. It's got those huge fins. Those are the iconic fins for that brand. And we found that year car. So it's a cop car underneath. It's a Crown Vic.
Oh, okay.
So we slipped this body over the Crown Vic chassis. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Very cool.
Also, but I think it's working.
Some of that stuff out.
Out here caused us some disturbance.
Well, you are out in the middle of the desert, man.
Every time we'll hear this thing kind of go over, and everything gets a little glitchy, but we're back on the air.
I was gonna say, there's been a few posts where you've posted up some of those flying objects coming over your house.
Super cool, man. What a spot. I had no idea. What I was getting into.
Yeah. What made you end up in the desert?
Well, I just love being out here. I moved to California in 97, 98, and just immediately my friends introduced me to the sand dunes and off-road and all that. And I've been going to the desert, just recreationally for years. So it's just a natural fit.
Yeah. And before that was New York?
Yeah, Ossining, New York, where I grew up, yep.
How was it, what was the car scene like in New York when you were growing up as a kid? None.
I put this Volkswagen together. It's my senior year of high school, and there was one other dude in town, oval window, 57. I was like, you're so weird. I need one of those cars.
So you just decided that making the trip out west was for you, and then
skateboarding, hot rods, all the magazines, the music. I needed to go to LA,
Yeah. So what year did you end up in LA?
98, 97 I left, but by February 98 I was here, yeah.
Yeah. And was the transition just natural for you at that point? You're like, this is home?
It was synchronicity. I mean, I saved up a bunch of money, had a job in construction in New York City, union job. My dad was like, what are you doing? You're there. I was like, I gotta go. Saved up a bunch of money and moved out. Yeah, just leap of faith, truly. Everybody said I'd be back, but it's been 20-something years.
Hey, there you go, man. I mean, you made it work. And then,
yeah.
California is not an easy spot to make it work. I know, like, everybody has the fantasies of like, I'm going to go out west and become a movie actor or actress and make it big. But for anybody who's just going out just to experience life at all, it can be harsh.
It is harsh. It has been harsh. I'm scarred. I'm torn. I'm a different man. But here we are. It's been a life adventure for sure. I got stories.
What was some of your first car experiences once you got to California?
Well, I was building, iconic cruise spot Bob's Big Boy, Burbank, California. I had heard about that. I'd heard about the Rat Fink party that Moldy Marvin was putting on in the valley. I ended up in the San Fernando Valley, a lot of car culture there. So I met a few people through these different venues, and they're like, "You're building some weird stuff, man. As soon as you start to build hot rods, you'll really come up, right? People will start to appreciate what you do." So, yeah, my first car was on that first DVD. My first American car was on that first DVD with the Roadster pickup, the Ford. And that was literally the first hot rod I ever built.
Really?
In about '03, we filmed that, yeah.
And that was those the Back from the Dead DVDs?
Yeah, we filmed that in '03. And prior to that, I was heavy into VWs and like just welding, whatever. Mini trucks, imports, little, Hondas on hydraulics, like anything. Anything that would come in the door, I'd work on. But once I did that, it kind of changed things a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine. Is that what got you going towards being on TV and wanting to try to become a personality as far as all that realm goes?
The idea of TV never even occurred to me, right? It was just like I'm a welder, a fabricator type of thing. But then, of course, Monster Garage, right? I was like, oh my God, my people, they're on TV, right? I was addicted. And I applied to be a contestant, yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of where it started.
Yeah, and then like I talked with you a little bit the other day. My introduction, to what you were doing out there was through those DVDs, and then that was the same introduction that I got for Scratch. And when we had him on the podcast for who is that, Hussey?
Yes.
That was a Hussey podcast that we were doing. We interviewed Scratch, and I told him the same thing. I was like, I see you painting this bus, and you're out there doing it. And I was like, man, that's what I wanted to be doing. As I was sitting in a little 1-car garage here in South Texas, I like got a 17-inch TV in the corner of my garage, and I'm like, watching this while I'm looking at a Cadillac going, I'm not going to do this today. I'm going to watch these DVDs right now.
Scratch and that was the thing. Like, he took a leap of faith, moved out of Texas, right? We somehow landed in the same neighborhood, right? All the same people. And, he's the badass pinstriper in town, right? It's a couple older dudes, but he was like the hot ticket. And naturally, I was just like, hey, man, I don't know anything about this, but like, do whatever you do, right? And do weird designs on other things. A lot of simple, clean pinstriping also, all the time. But, I had a couple weird cars, and the bus, namely, was a huge project. But, yeah, he's a talented dude for sure.
Absolutely, man. So where, after Monster Garage, where did your career start taking you from there?
Well, mostly I met a couple people in the production side of TV, and I was doing just behind the scenes work. There's a show called Monster Nation. Then there was Car Warriors, where I was on film. There was Car Master. I don't know, there's a whole bunch, car shows come out all the time. So I was like a lot of behind the scenes. That's when I started to just like have decent income from that, because there ain't no money in custom cars, like at least not what I was doing. So yeah, I started to make a little money doing that stuff, but it really helped me get a established shop finally.
Yeah. So when you got established, and then is that when you started with the full custom garage that you're doing now? Once you got your own spot.
Well, actually, after the DVDs, we did the 1 and 2, Back from the Dead, and they were about 2 years apart. And then the same video company had a couple other things. It was more like a music video. I did a couple of tech things. And after that, it just dried up. That company closed, and I was just back to doing whatever. There was a magazine called Rebel Rods. It was Easy Riders, Paisano publication. So I met my friend Kai. He's passed now, but just super cool cat. So at least there was attention in some venue, and that kept clients coming in the door. But there was no TV for years. This started, I don't even remember what year. It's online somewhere, but that was just like that company, Mav TV, my producer used that as a business card for them, and they picked it up. That's when Full Custom Garage started.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to try to get some of the plugs in there for you as far as like all of that goes, and give some of our listeners a little bit of a background on, the timeline of how all of this came about. So what do y'all have going on now, going into what did I see, something like 66 episodes out already? Like, is that correct?
A while, and I'm dizzy. It's either season 8 or 9. I'm not sure. But it's the same thing, right? We just pick a cool project and we work through it very informally. It's a hustle of a timeline for sure. But yeah, nothing new as far as like what we do. Just building cars in a shop. Different project, different episode.
Yeah, yeah. Now with the Space Junkie just coming out, and we had our episode with Jeremy about it. It was a really cool idea that, he ended up with this body and then knew, hey, I knew this car. I'm going to try to figure out how I can reinvent this car. And, it was really cool. And after I had talked with him, I went back and found some of the videos on YouTube and, that y'all had put together, like of doing the transmission made up to the engine, the adapter kit there and things like that. And it was like, man, there's a lot of things that I would hope that our listeners also do after they hear some of these episodes. Like, man, that's really cool that you can get a straight 8 Pontiac engine to made up to a 350 transmission. Like, that's wild.
And that guy with the company with the adapters, he's kind of like, I don't want to say low tech, but just very grounded, like roots oriented. And call him on the phone. He's like, "Why do you want to do that?" Like, cool, right? He's like, "Let me look around." He's like, "Flathead, Pontiac straight 8." He's like, "All right, we got the template. We could do that. It's not going to make a lot of power. Like they do racing and vintage stuff." But he's like, totally nailed it. Like that's what we needed for sure. Jeremy really. We talked a lot about the design of that car. I don't know, I want to be running over his information, but yeah, he was really like, I want it to be the car, but I want it to be like, the new and improved version with a lot of updates. And he really made some solid choices.
Absolutely, yeah. And then some friends of ours, they're up there in Oklahoma. And they made some posts on our Facebook page when we announced we were going to do an episode with Jeremy. And apparently they had a little social media drama going on with somebody who wanted to make a bunch of comments on it. It's like, well, that car's already, been turned into a bubble top. And
confusing. You couldn't make that story up. But seriously, like we were doing these episodes on the show, right? I'm like, I got this crazy idea. We made this big bubble, Victor and I, and it was too big for all the other cars. So I'm like, I'm going to build a car about it. And then, time frame, right? I was like, nobody knows what's going on underneath the Space Junkie. It's just sitting there. Let's just ditch it. Just take it apart. True story.
But yeah, the fact that, now the Space Junkie 1.5 has come out and somebody else was already trying to say, oh no, that one's already a bubble top. It's like, no, we have video to prove it. This is a total different car.
Trying to get them together for a photo shoot. I mean, maybe SEMA. We're trying to do SEMA this year. Like if we could have them both there.
That would be wild.
Super cool.
That would be wild. SEMA's one of the trips that Sam and I would love to make.
Mm-hmm.
Totally worth it. I mean, it's crazy. Last year, coming back after COVID is a little bit slower, but yeah, there's nothing I've seen.
Yeah, we tried to get onto SEMA right before the world shut down. We were gonna try to make a trip out there, and there's like the whole like sign up process, and you have to submit all your information as far as who you are and why you want to go, because apparently it's closed to the public. Like, you have to be.
I had trouble because I don't like who am I, right? I go as a media pass, so we're just a TV show.
Yeah. So that's what we were going for, is just to get into the media side of it, and we got everything submitted, and then the world shut down, and we were like, okay, well, we're not going to be traveling anytime soon.
Yeah, for sure. It's worth going. Like, it's crazy.
And you know, of course, following your career and the things that you've done, you just had a really like wild time in the shop, man. I really dig a lot of the stuff that you've put out, and you know, media wise, car wise, all that. One of the coolest things recently though was scrolling through Instagram and seeing you post up a video with David Letterman in your shop. Absolutely wild, man.
Hey, he called me. He's like, dude, I want to see the dog. I want to learn how to weld. So I was like, all right, like here we are. Yeah, true story. I mean, he just wanted to come by.
That is too cool, man. What was he driving? That big four-wheeled something.
Oh, the Pinterceptor. Yeah. He wanted to take a couple cars, check them out, etc. He was asking about one car if I want to sell it, but it was already sold. So who knows? I don't know if we'll do a project. He was just like, dude, I wanted to get out of the city, right? I wanted to see what you do. So I was like, hey, sure.
He just woke up and was like, you know what? Today I want to learn how to weld. Let me just call him up real quick.
Not old buddies or anything. I mean, it's just like he sent an email, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, respond to the email, talk with his agent or whoever, you know, contact. I'm like, so it's not a prank call, right? It's like, no. He's a busy dude, but if he's in LA, like maybe you guys could get together. I'm like, yeah. I was like, he could even be on the show if he wants. It happens, but yeah, he just wanted to come by for a couple hours.
That's just too cool, man. A few years ago, I went to an event, and it was Steve Martin and Martin Short. They came through town and did their fun little gig that they do. And Steve Martin had his bluegrass band come with him, so he was up there playing some banjo, and it was a cool time had by all. And then they go, we're gonna bring out a special guest, and this was right when Letterman retired and gave up, you know, his spot on nighttime television, right? So he just shows up on the stage and does a top 10 for the audience. Like, you know, the last time, it was like one of the coolest moments ever because nobody was expecting it. So
yeah, I was not expecting that either, but it happens. True story.
Dude, really cool. So the next celebrity we're gonna try to get into your shop, you know, who would it be?
I'm not even about that. I don't even know. They got the I have Gene Winfield here. I mean, if I could have ever had Ed Roth, I'd be a done guy, right?
For sure.
Not as far as I would reach. But,
for sure. Yeah. We'll make a trip out there, out to California, and you can have Miss Invasion 2021 in your shop.
Oh my God.
Right. Come on down. That's the thing. A lot of people ask about the shop, etc. But it's like we live out here in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing to see. So we have visitors, but it's not like Winfield's shop, for instance. You know, he's got a little tour, he's got all the things, but it's like there's nothing out here. It's like a small shop. We got one car, and that's about it.
You just walk out and be like, here it is.
Pretty
Ta-da.
much. Guests come out. I'm like, yeah, look, it's like a lot of desert.
On our show, on the Custom Couples show, we had Johnny Jalopy on a few weeks ago, and he was talking about, you know, the trips that he's made out there, and, you know, been on the show and everything. And he absolutely, yeah, you could see it when he talks about it. Like, he's had a great time hanging out with you. So
because the years have gone by, and he's seen me in different predicaments. You know, we talk about the hard life of being in this business, and I've lived in multiple areas. Johnny and I have camped out with the dogs in this ridiculously small trailer. Like, I was homeless for a while. Seriously, not homeless, but living in this little trailer, trying to get some money saved to maybe move into a house. You know, I finally found this, but yeah, I was, we were living it pretty raw, cooking our food in a Mr. Coffee and sausages on the grill.
Yeah. Yeah, we've gone through the gamut here with things like that, and you know, you find you get into situations like that you have, you know, if you're goal oriented, you know what you want in the end. Yeah,
that's what it was. I stripped everything off just for the tools and the mechanics of it. You know, it's just all about the business. So.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, what's in it for 2022?
Well, we're filming a whole season, so we got 6 episodes right now. With Motor Trend, they'll be out, I guess, end of the year-ish. We're always behind schedule with our work, so a lot of times about late December or so, but that's it. We're going to work all year. We got some pretty interesting projects. This is one of them. On Insta, I don't really keep secrets. Some production companies like to keep everything under wraps, so my Insta is pretty much what's going on by the day. So that VW project, that's season 1. This one's that one's episode 1. This one's episode 2.
Nice. Yeah, like I said, I've been following it, and I really dig what you've got going on out there. We would love to make a trip out and come see you, because
for sure. We're an hour and 15 minutes north of LA, so it's not a bad drive as long as there's no traffic. The big draw out here is Winfield Shop, so if you're going to visit him, it makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, we can make a whole tour of it. We're supposed to end up in California at some point. I think in September.
Yeah, for Ventura Nationals.
Yeah, we're going to Ventura.
That's an awesome show. Cruising Nationals, West Coast Customs, that's a show to see too. That's a time.
We were supposed to make it out to Grand National this year, but we started having to budget some of the things that we're doing. Of course, we both work pretty hefty day jobs, so being in the aircraft industry and Sam's a nurse, we have to schedule everything around that. So
it takes time.
But this year, I think we'll make that trip. It would be fun to do a little California tour for us, because she's been, but I never have.
Oh yeah, it was fun. I was out there for Silverado Showdown, so that was fun. I had a lot of fun out there, and then me and my best friend did a photo shoot at Madonna Inn and stuff. So we got to go around and hang out and see some cool stuff. So we had a lot of fun, but now it's our turn to go out together. But we've got 4 or 5 car shows that are all out of state. That's kind of the mission right now, is to go to other places besides Texas. We love our Texas shows, but it's time to go out more.
Well, the thing about Southern California, it's just the hub. I mean, it's such a mecca. You get spoiled. The cars aren't rusty. The cars don't rust out here. Growing up in New York, I was just fascinated by that. Then I went to the Pomona swap meet and forget about it. I mean, it's just out of control. It's so huge.
Is there anybody that you would like to give some shout outs to on our show? Anybody that was influential in getting you to the points that you're at in your life now?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think of everybody. I don't want to miss anybody, but you just mentioned Johnny Jalopy, of course. Alan Benuelos, he was on last season. Super cool cat, totally talented. Erie Eric Goodrich, he's coming back for the next episode. We're going to build this pretty ridiculous 3-wheeled contraption.
Another bubble top?
Not even.
No?
I just said 3-wheeled contraption. So I'm going to leave it.
Yeah.
I don't know yet. We've loosely talked about a few different designs, but I don't think a bubble top. I think we're done with those. I think it's enough. We've kind of ran through that idea. So
I was going to say, you put out quite a few.
Yeah, well, we made 9 successful ones out of that same oven. So they were all stacked up. We made some different shapes, etc. But I think I worked through that. Unless there's another, special vehicle that needs one. We're trying to figure out what to do on the roof of this one. See, it's still got no roof. That's Monday's event. We got a few ideas, but we'll see.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you spending some time with us on the podcast, and we look forward to being able to do some more of these type of things. Yeah,
you got my number. It's pretty cool, this whole internet thing. So.
It's such a lifesaver for us, because we get to do all these interviews with people all over the place, and it's like, man, this is so nice.
Well, with our television production, it's like a setup. It's a procedure, and this is just so informal, like you're hanging out. I did a lot of work with printed magazines, and it loses some of that immediacy, So I've done a bunch of podcasts, and it's just cool, like our TV show. It's like hanging out in the shop, just talking. It's cool.
Yeah, and that's totally the vibe that we try to go with all of these, is that I tell a lot of people, our show, the podcast that we do, they're not super technical. We don't get into like the real nitty gritty details of car building. This is more of an idea of the culture behind it and the people involved in it, and being able to hang out in the shop with you. We're down here in the middle of Texas, but being able to jump on here on a Zoom call,
Sure.
The future is upon us.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I'm way behind. Still building cars out of steel with gasoline engine.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Dinosaur.
So you mean you haven't run out and bought your electric car yet?
Ugh.
I'm not 100% opposed. I built this one electric dune buggy for the TV show, and that was a kick. But like everybody says, like batteries, like are they really environmentally better? I don't know. It's just something about the silence. Golf carts cruising out around. It's pretty cool, but I don't know.
We actually had a guy on our show that does electric bikes, like bicycles. And really cool dude to talk with, and talked about the whole idea of going to an electric bike and being able to do 28 miles an hour on a bicycle.
My friend had a mountain bike with the hub motors on it, and I was like, this is super cool. All of a sudden, I'm not even sweating. It just chugging along.
But it's funny, man. 2022 is going to be weird, but I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be better than the last couple of years we've had.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I don't really keep up with current events. I'm just an introvert. I'm in the shop like pretty much 99% of the time. So whatever goes on out there, I don't know much about it. But I like this culture. Go to the same kind of car shows, meet people with the same interests. That's where my head's at.
That's awesome, man. That is absolutely awesome. Well, I won't keep you much longer. I really appreciate you being on the show, bud. And like I said, we'll look forward to doing some more stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's pretty simple. You could just call me or whatever, set up a time. Even if it's like a bi-weekly thing. Hey, we had a couple interesting comments or questions about the project you're currently working on. I'm totally into it.
Absolutely. I bet our guests would love that. We'll kind of plug that out there and see what we can get to grow from it.
Yeah, like I say, Facebook and Insta, every day I do one post at least that's not nonsense. It's about cars, so check it out.
And then like 10 nonsense. No, I'm just kidding. All right, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for being on Rod and Style Radio. And for all of our guests out there, you know what to do. Stay wild.